I missed the memo. It looks like your head keeps getting bigger as you move.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh.
Ugh. You like this one? It's not plastic. It's like ceramic.
Is it really?
Yeah, NECA made it. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. It's like officially based on part 3. I'll get it. And I pulled it out. I was like, this bitch is hard. This bitch is heavy.
Oh, yeah? Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to say what the episode we're doing today is?
I mean, I think it might be. Oh, actually, no.
No, it's
you
definitely
put on a Jason
not.
mask, so a little bit less obvious.
Yeah.
Well, we figured that because it is still October as we're recording this, and I don't give a fuck about Thanksgiving, we're just going to keep the spooky season going. And we're going to talk about the Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about Halloween 2.
Yeah, I think I should also acknowledge my hair being blonde.
Only to the video audience.
That's true. I think it's a bit of a shock that I went from very dark to bleached, looking like I went from East Coast to West. But yeah, I was the one who recommended it because it's always been a franchise favorite of mine, but it's been a long time since I've gone through all of the films, and I hate some of them. I vigorously hate them, but I really do want to reevaluate at least 2 to 3 films. 2 I'd wanted to watch. It's been a long time. 3 I didn't have super strong feelings on. I wanted to see if I loved 4 as much as I used to. It's been a long time since I've watched 5, and I have a lot of fond memories when I was young with it. I don't know how I'm going to feel about H2O nowadays, and I want to see if I still adamantly fucking hate Resurrection. So I thought that's enough reason to go through all these, and
Spoiler alert, you definitely fucking still hate Resurrection. And if you don't, I'm going to slap the shit out of you.
You and I agree that Halloween 2, the remake, is terrible.
Yeah, I really just don't like it. To be fair, though, recently in a lot of people on Twitter have been very heavily reevaluating that movie.
Yeah.
And I find it very fascinating. And reading a lot of people that I respect talk about the movie very positively has made me want to revisit both of them, honestly, both are upside.
Well, I think going through, and I think the shock reaction to Halloween Kills has made me really want to reevaluate all of the films and feel like, okay, well, if people feel this strongly about it, which I do believe a lot of that comes down to new people jumping into the Halloween fan base and then getting the initial shock of like, hey, Kills takes a lot of ideas from the first one and radically changes it, and things just completely differ. It's like, I'm not saying that like, welcome to the fandom, but like, this is a series that's known to do that, and I think, not that you don't have the right to dislike that film or anything. Everyone totally has the right to dislike what they dislike. It's their feelings, their emotions. Totally cool. But it made me want to reevaluate, how do I feel about these films again? Like you said, a lot of people talked about the remake for the second one, being like, oh, I'm loving this film. I don't think you and I are going to change our opinions. We've watched that film multiple times, but it'll be cool.
I've actually seen people reevaluate the first one too. I'm pretty surprised by that.
And the second one has a lot of ideas. The first one I feel just misses a lot.
The first one you can kind of tell that in development, Zombie wanted to do one thing and the producers wanted a different thing.
Yeah.
So he wanted to do 2 movies, split in half. One of them would be the origin up until before he breaks it out, and then the other one would be the remake of Halloween, which would be his take on it, instead of basically making him just remake for the back half of the movie, remake the movie.
I think it's fair to say the first one feels more like an actual studio film, and the second one feels more like a passion project.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, as much as I don't vibe with 2, it is 100% an unadulterated like personal movie from Zombie.
Yeah.
Like it's his movie, and you can tell like he had it felt like it's kind of funny. The actual production of that movie was hell, but
Yeah.
the product that came out feels a lot more like something that would be made by someone like Rob Zombie, rather than the first one, which feels a little bit more like a hybrid.
I would definitely agree to that.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to check them out again.
It's really funny too, because you know that rolls back into how we're talking about Halloween 2, and it's another movie that's just kind of like really strife with issues behind the scenes. It's a movie that, you know, decent chunks of, you know, there were several days of reshoots. Rosenthal turned in a cut, and Carpenter and the producers didn't like it, so Carpenter himself got in the director chair for 4 days of reshoots to add more blood and gore and up the body count, which I think is interesting considering how opposed to that he was.
I think
the original.
A lot of this is going to come into what really stems from the fact that the first one doesn't need a sequel. A lot of this is, when you watch the first Halloween, it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be a franchise. It wasn't supposed to be a franchise, and ever since then, as the films go on, we're talking about, why does this fit in the franchise? Why does this make sense? Why does this work? And you always feel like at the end of the day, like, what does this add? Do we need this?
Yeah.
What are we gaining from it? And if you keep asking those questions, you're gonna like these films less and less. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of cool stuff in each film. Each films have good ideas. Maybe not all of them, but they at least attempt something. Like Halloween 2, the remake attempts a lot. Like I said, I get why people really like it. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But there's always something to gain, and rewatching, reevaluating can change a lot, and I'm interested to see how we come out of this series, and I'm excited to finish it off. And with Halloween 2, the one we're covering today, it's the perfect one because it wasn't supposed to be made originally, but first one popped off, people loved it, now we get a sequel. And the way I look at Halloween 2, it is the perfect example of, like, you grew up, you know about this movie, you think you love it, you've been told to love it, you know the iconography from this film, but you haven't seen it in a while. And if you do, things are going to change.
Yeah. This used to be my favorite Halloween movie.
Same.
For a long time. For a decent chunk of my life. This is my favorite one. And every subsequent rewatch I've had since, I would probably say, college, has gotten worse and worse. You know, it's dropped down from like a 5-star movie that I fucking adored down to much lower, which we'll get to at the end of the video.
Yes.
But it's one of those things where you're definitely looking at it through rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, you know what? That's such a good fucking movie, dude. And then you rewatch it, and you notice all these little things that you're just like, why is that here?
Not to be rude, but Halloween 2 is how I feel a lot of people look at the first Friday the 13th. Like, you think it's so much better than it really is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, they're not similar films. Don't get me wrong.
No, one of them's good and one of them's pretty bad, so.
Yeah. Like, I still enjoy Halloween 2 a great deal, but at the end of the day, like, you see so many people, and I mean so many people online, adamantly saying, should have stopped with this one. This one is what it went from a complete high, kept the same pace, and everything since then has dropped. And it's like, you can have that opinion, you can love the film, but from the words you're spouting, it seems like you really have not watched this in a long time, or there's a huge bias you're putting in there, because this film is not handing out the W's you think it is. No offense to the film, it's a really fun film. It exemplifies how slashers were gonna go in the 80s. Totally. But at the same time, like, it's not dishing out what I feel like everyone is expecting of it.
Yeah, I think that it definitely benefits from the choice to make it be set on the same night, just minutes after the original.
Yeah.
Because not only are you continuing a story from a movie that is hailed as a fantastic horror film, but also you have a lot of the same team members back. People like Dean Cundy shoots this too. and you got Carpenter back doing the score, but this time with Alan Howarth. You got a lot of the right bones for this. He also wrote it. Carpenter wrote the movie. But the problem lies with the script. The script is a mess in a way that the original movie was not. It is one of those things where a sequel tries to give you more lore and try to explore things in greater detail, and they did not know how to really balance out that choice.
Yeah.
You get all these scenes that furthers Laurie's story and exploring the fact that she's Michael Myers' brother, and it almost all feels like an afterthought because the manner in which she figures out the twist that she's Michael Myers' sister is so contrived. She just
It just
has
happens.
a dream. She has a dream, and like you can I could be fine with him having a dream sequence reveal it, but her reaction is non-existent.
Her reaction's non-existent. It retroactively just doesn't really
ruins
add
her-
up to the first one.
It ruins her parents.
Yeah, it makes her
Yeah.
mom horrible.
It makes her dad horrible too, because he's well aware of who her brother is, and he still sent her to the Myers house.
Oh yeah, it's just the fact that
And inadvertently started this whole thing.
it's just the fact the mom goes like, "You're not even my real daughter." It's like,
Not even
"Oh,
I'm
what
not
the
your.
fuck up? Who let
How many
you
times I
have
have to tell you?
custody?" It's-
How many times I have to tell you I'm not your mother? It's like, why does it have to be said like that?
And why are you saying this frequently? Like she's pouring cereal and like some of it spills out. Damn it! This my real daughter would do just fine at pouring cereal.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like it feels again like Carpenter himself has acknowledged. He said that he regrets the brother-sister connection. Not only does he regret it, but he's like, yeah, the reason why that happened is because I got fucking drunk and wrote it. And it's like, yeah, I can tell, Carpenter, because it's so haphazardly delivered.
Maybe that's
It's
why
like-
people like it though. Maybe they like it because they're
Maybe.
drunk when they're watching this movie.
I mean, I guess like no, you can't even get really meta with it and be like, oh well, he wrote it while drunk and it feels like she's coming out of a haze. It's like, no,
Well, it doesn't.
because it's not even just her though. The problem is that we're also delivering this exposition dump. They bring back Marion, the smoking nurse from the first movie, to be nothing more than an exposition dump character that has a familiar face. And she's just like, yeah, there happens to be this file that you didn't have access to back in the day. It was just unsealed because of his escape. It's like, that's fucking convenient.
Yeah.
Like,
His
it feels
doctor,
like it's one of
who's
those
in
things-
charge of him can't read the file.
yeah, it's like, oh, we sealed they sealed the documents. It's just like, what?
It's like
What?
the best thing about that is like there's no way like an institute that's about like they're trying to reform him. That's why he's there. Like
Yeah,
he's not just there like whatever, we're gonna spend money on the state and just let this dude fucking chill. Like the whole point is reforming him. There is no way you could do that without saying like, yeah, he's got another sister and like we just can't tell the doctor about that. How the fuck would you
Yeah.
fix this, man?
yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's one of those things where it feels like they're like, oh, we're making a sequel. We got to explain some stuff, so let's just make up some bullshit.
But imagine he did know, and he's like 10 years old, be like, you got another sister, Michael, and he's like, more! More! And
Murder!
He's like banging on the windows, I'm gonna get her! Like,
Yeah, I just it's kind of a weird double-edged sword kind of situation though. It's because like I don't like the way that they handle this reveal.
yeah.
I don't like the fact that Laurie and Michael are brother and sister that much.
I don't think the idea's totally bad, but it does amount to nothing.
I'm against the idea of humanizing Michael Myers, and giving him another sister and a motive like that, to me, humanizes him as a person, not the boogeyman as much. And I don't like that as much. That's a personal choice. I'm not a fan of that personally. But it's brought about Halloween 4, which I love Halloween 4. We'll get to that. But like without Halloween 2, we don't get the Halloween 4 we got. So it's like
everything
on
is
the
built
one
in this
one
franchise.
hand, I don't like the way that they handle it here. On the other hand, the result is good.
Everything in the
Sometimes.
franchise from this point on is built around that connection until Resurrection, really.
Yeah,
So and like
because after that, she's gone after the first 10 minutes, and it's
Yeah.
about just a new group of teenagers.
first like 4 minutes. But,
Yeah,
but
pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah. Like it doesn't mean anything. Like
Yeah,
but besides that, all these other films, it's super important that it's blood relation that he goes after. I agree.
Yeah.
I could do without it. Don't get me wrong. If you look at these two films in isolation, just say like in the first one it's convenient. Say he didn't know that she was his sister, because it kind of has to be, at least in the first film. It's still convenience. And then in the second
Yeah,
one, it's
I mean, this kind of thing. It's like the whole point of the reveal is like he knows he has a sister, and he went after Lori because she is his sister.
yeah. It just
And I
doesn't-
think it's way more interesting that the reason why Michael goes after her is because she just walked up to the house and he got fixated on her. I think that's way more interesting.
I personally like it the best when it has no motive, nothing to do with anything. He's just like, I saw you. It's game over.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Like-
it's a matter of you were the person that came up to my house.
Yeah.
So
I don't even care about
I-
it being the house. I just like the fact that it's like, I caught you. Like, I like the idea when he makes eyes on a victim and he sees them face to face, it's game over.
They're dead. Yeah.
Like, I
And
I like
also
that
like
the most
it
about it.
kills. To me, like it kills that whole notion in the first movie about, you know, they talk about fate.
Yeah.
And how, you know, that's a very important scene. And to me, making them related removes that from the equation.
Yeah.
And I really don't like that. Like it seems like actively this movie undoes, if I can speak actual fucking English, undoes the stuff that really made the first movie so interesting to me. And as much as I enjoy this movie, like I have fun with it. You know, I like a decent chunk of the characters. I think the musical score is dope.
Yeah.
It's a little bit divisive with some people. Some people don't like the more heavier synthy music, but I think it's pretty cool.
I prefer the synth in this movie versus the synth used in 3, but that's a personal thing.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
I love, like, not even like the way that they do the Halloween theme, but just like some of the background music when he's stalking a hospital. Like it's really good.
I would say if I was gonna get one score, it might be Halloween 2. I do think that might be my favorite score of all of them.
Interestingly enough, it's a movie I don't particularly like that we'll get to, but I really love the score for Halloween 6, the producer's cut. It has a completely different score.
Oh, I see. I haven't watched the producer's cut yet, and that's another reason I'm excited for this. Is I want to get through that.
Yeah, it has a completely, like, it's more of a John Carpenter-y score in comparison to the dumbass, like, 90s guitar bullshit that was in the theatrical version. But I love that score. But this score is really good, and I would definitely love to own it.
I think the scores in I don't want to say all of them because I can't remember all of them, but most of the Halloweens, the scores are very enticing.
I can't think of a score in the Halloween series I don't at least like. The only one that like Halloween 5 has a pretty solid score in my opinion, but the cop track is shit. Like it's really bad.
I don't remember the score from Resurrection and H2O, so that's why I'm not saying all of them.
I actually dig the one from Resurrection. H2O is a weird thing though because they hired John Ottman to do a score.
Yeah.
He did the X-Men scores, and he delivered the score, and they didn't like it, so they like had the rush to do like a score. They had like tech music. They had music from like Scream.
That film
Marco
is so rushed in general.
Marco Beltrami threw some music in there at the last second because they didn't like the score. But I've heard that John Ottman released his version of the Halloween theme, and I actually think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But apparently the rest of the score, it's like if you watch it with the movie, it's bad.
I have to assume that it comes down to, and we'll get back to Halloween 2. I have to assume that it comes down to the fact that, like you said before, Scream changed how we're looking at horror films in the 90s. I think they just wanted something more akin to that type of horror versus a more original, or if not, Halloween type score that akins back to what it was meant to be.
Yeah, it's wild because it's like until I listened to and read Taking Shape, I didn't know that Marco Beltrami was involved at all.
Yeah.
And Marco Beltrami's music.
Love his music.
His music is usually, I wouldn't say it's usually like very easy to figure out like it's his music, but like if I hear the Scream score, I know it instantly. And the fact that apparently, as I understand it, there's like actually tracks from Scream in there.
Yeah.
Or Scream 2. One of them. I find that interesting.
Scream 2's tracks I found pretty underwhelming personally.
I think Scream 1 has a fucking awesome
I think the score in Scream 1 is really strong.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Scream 2 in a long time. So
Scream 2 is very rushed. It just feels like it when you're watching it.
It came out
a year after.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, sequels.
The fact that movie
sequels.
The fact that movie works as well as it does, considering it came out under a year later.
Yeah.
Impressive.
And like coming back to sequels, like with Halloween 2, I think the point of a lot of horror sequels in the generations, like when they're coming out, like the 80s, sometimes even the 90s, they are not trying to be better movies. They aren't. They're trying to be fun. Like, I can akin what Halloween 2 is to like Friday Part 3. Like, it's just trying to be fun. It's not trying to do anything crazy. It's just trying to have a good time. And like, you and I hung out and we just watched the movie. We weren't having a bad time at all. We had a good time. We were having a good experience. But we're not over here like, yo, can you take a second? I gotta watch this scene. It's a good movie to have with friends.
Fucking how many times? Yeah, like we've both seen this movie how many times?
Yeah.
Like
I will say
so many times.
It's been a while since I've seen it. Like, I totally agree with you. When I was younger, I wanted, like, I said this is my favorite. For some reason, this is the film where you go, the first is awesome, but the second ups the bloodshed. It's more cool. Like, this film is the film that says, we're not scary.
Explosions.
Yeah, we're not scary. We're fucking badass, dude. Okay.
Yeah, it's got two explosions.
The posters say Halloween 2. It's badass. That's what this film is telling.
Pretty much. It should have. Yeah.
And
I remember I had I wish I grabbed it before we came up here to film, but I have like this really shitty DVD that I bought because I thought it was so cool because the cover has the explosion where Ben Tramer gets hit by the car.
oh my god. Okay, another
It's by
thing.
I think it's called Good Smile DVDs. It's horrible. It's a really bad DVD.
Just want to get to this. Ben Tramer is the best character in the Halloween franchise. For this sole reason, he's never in any of the films, and the only time he is, the motherfucker dies in an instant. Like,
yeah,
iconic.
Well, it's like
Iconic.
a passing thing. It's like a passing thing too. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Ben Tramer, he was walking home, he was wearing a stupid mask. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a like oh, he's the guy who died. Why?
It's so great to me because like I had forgotten that scene for a long time, and I'm seeing all these blonde Michael Myers masks. I'm like, I don't remember him having a blonde mask, but this mask is like legitimately fucking sick. And like, oh, it's the Ben Tramer mask. I'm like, that dude's in the movie? And I remember watching it, I was like, they fucking did it. They
just
did him
name
so
dropped
dirty.
Yeah. They just name dropped him. He's like, hey, Lori, yeah, you're not going to no dance. Sorry.
I love that mask though. It is a sick mask
Yeah.
for it being 5 seconds before it explodes.
Yeah, that's a really good. I like that scene, although it is kind of ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. Like I said, this film is saying we're badass. We don't kill Michael Myers. We run the car dead into him and it explodes. We don't even take chances.
Yeah.
What the fuck,
the whole,
man?
It's just like it is the definition of like the way that the 80s took.
I was gonna say
films.
this is how you know the film was 81 and not 78.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the first one we're gonna tighten screws of suspense. We're gonna have minimal bloodshed. We're gonna have very simple, eloquent visuals, and we're gonna have a really tight script. It's gonna have, it's just gonna be a pure suspense film, nothing else. Halloween 2, we got some explosions. We got claw hammers going through skulls. We got burning hot tub kills, naked ladies.
So this is what we gotta do, Mike. We're gonna make another sequel to Halloween. It's gonna be a sequel to Halloween 2. So it'll be Halloween 2 question mark? And we're gonna have another scene where he gets run over by a car, and then we park the car, and then we light the gasoline in the car on fire and it blows up. And as it's on fire, everybody just takes actual gas cans and starts throwing it into the fire until it gets really big, and then do a big kumbaya around the circle. And
if that's not how Halloween finishes, I'll be sad.
And he the car disintegrates. It's so much gasoline fire, it's just melting, and he just raises from the dead like a messiah. And then all the bros start stop their kumbaya, and they start taking out more gas cans, and it's just more fire. And then Flame Michael just murders them all. He just runs into them and they all burn. Like a flaming clothesline. This is better than all of the other films.
True.
Halloween 2 too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that kind of just purely tells you what decade this movie's from.
Yeah.
And it tells you what era, especially in the slasher genre, not just because, big boom, but also things like the upping of the body count, very clearly. Every single kill in Halloween has a purpose. There are people he's met. There are people he has seen. He's followed around. There is a kill in this movie that is literally pointless, and you can tell it's a reshoot, and that's the very first kill in the movie. She's just there on the phone. He doesn't go in there to take a knife. He goes into Mr. and Mrs. Elrod's house. They get a knife. He has a purpose to be in there. He just turns around and says, "You know what? Fuck you." Pretty much.
And there's nothing wrong with having pointless deaths sometimes, but it just
it's whatever.
It feels
it's just
so pointless.
But every other kill in the movie has a purpose. That one just kind of sticks out because everybody else he kills are people in the hospital to isolate Laurie.
Yeah.
Whereas this person's just hey, you're next door. Fuck you, bitch.
But even the problem with the hospital kills, it's
funny.
They're just introducing random characters to die.
Yeah.
It's
oh yeah.
Hi, I'm Nurse Clarence. I'm here now. I'm gonna go take a shit in the toilet. And he turns around and be like, "Nobody shits in my toilet," and he just gets his neck broken. It's random characters that get brought up every 5 minutes. Yeah. So remember when we were watching it, I'm like, who the fuck is this person? When did they show up? And you go, literally just now.
Yeah.
We're 45 minutes in, and you go, I don't know what to tell you.
I feel it would be a little bit different if someone lived.
Yeah. Or if you establish all these characters at the beginning and don't keep adding them.
Yeah, because after a certain point, they do introduce 3 of them quickly.
Yeah.
Because they have the whole scene where the paramedics are taking Laurie in, so that you have Bud and you have Jimmy, introduced pretty much off the bat, and then you have the goody two shoes nurse in the scene in the cafeteria, which is just so fucking funny. So they get introduced, and then you get instantly introduced to the nurse. What's her name? Karen? Nurse Karen? Is it Karen? Yeah, it's Pamela Susan Shoop, but I can't remember her character's name. I think it is Karen. I'm not positive though. But you meet her pretty quickly. But Mr. Garrett is introduced to die. The nurse, the head nurse is introduced to die.
I'm the handyman. I'm gonna check out downstairs. No. It's random people. And it's fine. Jason runs around in the fucking woods all the time, and there's 2 people being like, "Hey, do you want to have sex?" And they die. It just happens. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
But it's almost meant for comedic effect sometimes, or for some downtime from the plot. But with this, it's like, hey, they're nurses. This is part of the story. It's like, just show them in the beginning, and I wouldn't have a problem. But they're just showing up out of nowhere, so it's very weird.
Yeah, like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like super duper. This is not something that really bothers me. Or it's like it takes the movie that I don't actually know this one character. I haven't got his backstory, and I don't know about his wants and desires in life before he dies. Like I don't fucking care that much. But it is kind of weird. Like when Mr. Garrett shows up, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm gonna go downstairs. I'll be back in 5 minutes." It's like, who are you?
Yeah. Like, imagine, like, we're watching the movie.
You're just a security guard?
And I was like, I got a question, like, what? What do you think Jimmy's minor in college was? Like, we're not asking questions like this.
What do you think are his philosophical beliefs on
and you're like,
Buddhism?
I definitely think that nurse is vegan. You can tell with her mannerism. Like, no, we're not doing anything like that.
Yeah,
but
I don't care that much.
It's very it very much is pointed that, like, you can tell when these characters are just added in to die in 5 minutes. And it's like, hey, I don't care, but like, it shows, and like, it's super obvious.
Are the characters in the first movie particularly like super duper crazy developed? No,
but they're talked
you do
about.
get time
you meet them
with
in the beginning.
There's also a smaller cast. For
Even characters you don't meet in the beginning, like Bob, he gets referenced in the beginning, so when he does die, it's not like it's some random dude.
Yeah. Same thing with, you don't ever see Paul, but they do talk about Paul.
Yeah.
Hear him at least, but Annie and Lori have interactions that are like after their initial like walking home scene. Everyone knows, like, everyone's talking still. So you're getting like not development, but like you're getting at least some kind of interplay to get you to be endeared to these characters. And there's a couple of them like you do get some of that.
Yeah.
Like the nurse, like Bud, Jimmy. But like Mrs. Alves, she's just there to be like, hey, don't be fucking late, bitch.
Yeah.
And the goody two shoes person's just there to call Bud an asshole and to fiddle with the walkie-talkie because she thinks that's how it fucking works, fixes it. That was one of the dumb things I turned to you when we were watching. I'm just like, why would your first response to I don't know how to work this thing to be just twist all the knobs and hit all the buttons? It's just like that. Whatever. It's just like I was just gonna watch. I'm like, did you think that you were just gonna magically land on the right channel? I don't usually like. It's not like a criticism or anything. I don't care that much. I just think it's funny that she's just like, Mr. Garrett, like playing with the walkie-talkie and fucking it up. Like,
I like the idea of like.
Guess what? He just doesn't have signal. He's in the basement.
I think it'd be way funnier if like he didn't die yet and his signal was fine, but he's going like just fucking with her. Like, God, he always does this.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like that kind of leads into like we were talking about the kills, how they up the body count. One of the most satisfying, well, I don't want to say satisfying, but one of the best kills in the movie is actually Mr. Garrett.
Yeah, it's sound effects so good.
Yeah, it's just like when you see it, because it's like it's a harsh impact.
Yeah. And
you hear it's like metal hitting something hard. You're like, oh my god. It's like it's super quick. It's not even like it's very gratuitous. It's a quick shot.
Yeah.
But it's just really good.
Shots like that make me wonder, like, am I jaded? Because like I prefer almost these cutaway shots where you don't see much, but the impact is so striking. Where I'm like, I like this better. Like you'd see a shot nowadays of someone getting hit with a hammer, and it would pan into the back. You'd see the hammer in the head.
Yeah.
And like that's like, I'm glad you guys got the effect. It looks awesome, but you showed me the shot like in is it 2 or Friday 3 where the cop gets hit with the back of the hammer in the head, and like I see his eyes bulging and it cuts. Like I prefer that. I prefer that way over seeing the impact and having some guy grovel or whatever, and the impact doesn't feel nearly as strong. It's more about seeing someone die depressingly than an immediate strike that's visceral.
Yeah, I mean sometimes that works, but
sometimes
here I feel like if they did that here, it wouldn't work nearly as well as this.
No,
I think one of the best tools for creating horror, interestingly enough, is sound design.
Yeah,
And
I couldn't agree more.
for Christ's sake, the impact of that fucking hammer is so good. It's such a strong moment that really just kind of makes you shiver a little bit because it sounds like someone just got hit with a hammer. It sounds real.
It's like when Andy's getting strangled in the first one.
Yeah.
When you hear the strangling over the phone, it's very poignant. Or in Friday Part 6, when the head gets hit into the RV, like the sounds going on with these kills make them feel way more impactful and memorable.
Yeah, I agree.
There's also iconography, or just like the way shots are framed, like when Bob dies with the head tail. Like, you're not gonna forget that.
It's like pure iconic. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's just really satisfying too because it's like he goes over here, he goes over there, bam, perfect musical stinger.
Yeah.
Michael lifting someone up, holding him up in the air. They're actually like suspended. You watch his feet go limp and stuff like that. Like it's perfectly staged. It's so good.
We've talked about a lot of the characters and everything. Compared to the first one, how would you feel as far as like rating with the cast? Like the new characters, if you had to give like a score, what would you say? Like, I think the only character I really like in 2 a lot is the new police officer, I think the sheriff.
Oh, Sheriff Hunt.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I like Hunt. I like most of the people in the hospital just fine. I think particularly he's such an asshole, but I like Bud.
Yeah.
He's just funny. It's weird because he's a fucking New Yorker. He's from Brooklyn, and he's in Illinois.
Yeah.
Which he almost didn't get cast because of that. But I think Rick Rosenthal fought for him or something to be in the movie. But I like pretty much everybody. I would say weak links, like I can't remember her name, but the goody two shoes nurse I really don't care for. She doesn't have very many interactions that I particularly think are great. It's not the actress's fault. I just don't think the character is very interesting. She's kind of one note.
Yeah, I think the biggest hindrance is that like these characters are just too forgettable at the end of the day.
Yeah, and like the one of the most iconic shots in the movie is when Michael comes up behind the other nurse, the blonde nurse, and stabs her in the back with the scalpel, lifts her up,
Shoes fall.
and the clogs fall off, which is an improvised thing. But who the fuck is that character?
Yeah.
Like she kind of disappears.
Yeah.
Like she's just
I
not
like
there,
Bud's
and now
death
she's here.
too, though. He dies in the background.
Yeah.
I love
It's
background
really cool.
deaths. Anything.
I like that.
People dying in the background, like more of that. In movies,
Funny
of course. It just in movies.
Funny story, because I was watching Halloween 2 at one point. I can't remember. I was over at my aunt's house. We were probably carving pumpkins or something, and my dad came to pick us up, and we were watching Halloween 2, and he wasn't paying attention to the screen. He was just we were eating dinner, and we were just eating dinner together, and he just looks up at the mirror, which is facing the TV, and it's that kill of Bud and the nurse.
Yeah.
And he just dunks her head in the water, and it finishes the whole situation. And she's obviously they purposely hold her up so her breasts are out.
Yeah.
Which is weird because she's fucking burnt. Whatever, weird, but whatever. But he's like, he just turned like, is that a naked woman? I'm like, yeah, Dad. Yeah, it's a naked woman. He's like, I don't know why you're watching these kinds of movies. He was so
It's way
mad.
funnier knowing your dad too, because like,
Yeah.
I won't get into it, but I just love the idea of your dad just being like, "What are you doing right now?" Like,
Well, if he saw any violent scene, he wouldn't care.
yeah,
One breast, he's like, ah.
yeah.
Fast forwarding through the scene. It's like,
I love the idea, like at a dinner table, like he drops his fork. Really, boobies, Michael? Boobies at the table?
I remember when I was watching Terminator for the first time. He came into the room while I was watching it, and it was at the love scene.
Yeah.
And I saw him. He was like, Michael. He hits the button and fast forwards.
Always the boobies with you.
Oh God. Yeah. I just remember. I was just remembering that he's just like, wow, are those breasts? It's like, yeah, Dad, they are. What?
She
I was
can't
like-
get
I was
rid
like
of them or something to not
12.
have them on screen.
Yeah, I was like 11 or 12 or something. And he's just like, what the fuck are you? Who's letting you watch this stuff?
That's like when I the first Jason film I rented, not bought, because I had bought them before, but I rented Jason Goes to Hell. And the scene is like, the tent one happens pretty early in the movie. And I'm watching, I'm like, there's like not shit for Jason in here. Why do everyone talk about these fucking movies? And the tent scene comes up, I'm like, oh, that's why they talk about these movies. I am actually 9. I was just like, I'm getting it now. I totally get it. I've awakened.
My family was weird with all that stuff anyways, because that was what we were watching Freddy versus Jason. And I think I've told you about this before, but we were watching Freddy versus Jason, and my mom threw like a blanket over my head in the opening scene because I was the girl go skinny dipping.
Yeah.
And any of like the nude scenes or the sex scenes, she would throw a blanket over my head. I can watch people get decapitated for days.
Yeah.
One breast, absolutely not, Michael. Get out of the room. Like, Jesus Christ.
I want to make a poster, like a 23 by 35 of you smiling with like a big X through. It's like no boobies for Michael.
I would actually be 100% okay with that.
That'd be so cool. But
Put it
not
up
for
in the
you.
background, in the background of the video.
Yeah, just like right there in the corner. Yeah, I mean, my family never. Not I didn't care, but like, I didn't. No, that's not bad. I didn't have anybody to really check. Like, my grandfather doesn't watch movies with me, and I lived with him my entire life. So, if he's not watching what I watch, he never gave a shit. The only thing he ever watched with me is the films that I made him watch at home. Like, I remember one time I was like, "Hey, Grandpa, let's watch Return of the Jedi." He goes, "We have to do this," and I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, put it on." Like.
He was more willing than my dad was. I told my dad, "Hey, Dad, you want to watch?"
I cannot name any other time we watched a film
Captain.
together except for like I made him watch Star Wars with me, and it like meant a lot to me. And he's like, "Yep, go to sleep."
In his entire life, I saw a movie with my dad twice.
I've seen films in theaters with him. Like we watched Dark Knight. I know we've seen Star Wars films. Like we went to a big theater to see
Superman Returns.
Superman Returns. I didn't see with him. I saw that with my grandmother.
Oh.
We saw that in New York.
Yeah.
My grandfather, we'd see theaters, go in theaters and watch films once in a while, but nothing really. Because when we turned 14, you and I, we'd go to the films.
Yeah.
Like nope. And if it was.
Yeah, we
turned,
subjected
like,
ourselves
16.
to Green Lantern together.
I think 16 was the point where our theater was like, you can't see any more rated R films, and I'm like, the fuck are you gonna do, man?
Yeah, like, that was for.
You're gonna call my dad?
Evil
He's
Dead.
fucking dead, bro. Good luck. Like.
That was for Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I remember that. I went to the theater. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see Evil Dead. It's gonna be super cool. And I showed up, and they're like, hey, fuck you. You're 16 years old, and we're not letting you in. It was like, well, my dad said I can watch the movie. He's there. And they're like, yeah, we don't do that anymore. I'm like, why not? This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, my
So I didn't
grandpa
see
would do
it.
that too. Because a while it's like, oh, my parents said they said I could watch it. Fucking whatever, dude. I don't care. Then they'd go home.
My dad used to come in and be like, hey,
Here's
a ticket for this.
Yeah.
And then he would buy it, and then he would hand it to me, and no one would say a damn thing.
Evil Dead was
And
the
then
one for me too.
Later on, he would be sitting in the car parked in front of the theater, and he'd look through the window, and I'd be like, "Yeah, he's right there," and he'd be like, "Give me the thumbs up," give him the thumbs up, and then be like, "Okay, cool," and then suddenly they just like, "Nope, we're not doing that anymore." So you had to buy a ticket to a PG-13 movie and then go sneak into the other one.
Exactly. That's what I did for Evil Dead. And the girl was like,
It's really funny.
You're not 17, you can't do it. I'm like, you are not even 3 years fucking older than me. I'm watching Evil Dead. I can't help you there, you can't do it. I'm like, give me a ticket for the host. The theater next door to fucking Evil Dead. Here's the ticket for the host. Thanks. I will be watching the host now. And I walk in Evil Dead. And I walk out and she looks at me and I said, good movie. I left.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Not like, I think I'm gonna be like, I'll watch it, but then walk out and be like, that's it. Everyone in this theater, they fucking died tonight. This film changed me. Like, no. It's fucking dumb.
I remember I was gonna go see A Walk on the Tombstones, which is one of Liam Neeson's action movies or whatever detective movie. It's rated R. for good reason. And I was like, yeah, 1 ticket for a walk along the tombstones, please. And they're like, yeah, I need to see your ID. And I'm like, that's not happening, honey. Not literally, but that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, fuck.
Oh, I just see some ID. And you go, oh, sweetie, no. They go, oh, sweetie, yes.
How about these nuts? Yeah, no, I'll show you these nuts. These, I was like, oh, fuck, I guess I'm not seeing the movie. And the girl kind of like looked, because maybe her supervisor was there, I don't know, but she kind of like looked to the side, buy a ticket for the Maze Runner, and just go inside.
Joke's on her, you'd probably rather have watched Maze Runner.
I actually really like him walking on the tombstones, but after watching Maze Runner at home, I'm like, fuck, I actually would have liked to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the other two in theaters though. But yeah, I fucking thank God I'm not fucking 16 anymore.
I'll say this much.
Your life's so much.
If you don't want to make movies for fucking teenagers to watch and try to stop them, fuck you. At the same time, like I've learned with Halloween Kills, fuck teenagers during horror films.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not a boomer thing about me. I'm fucking 25, but like I almost fought kids. I was pissed. I was so pissed. Like
okay, boomer.
This kid next to me, and not next to me, but next to the person with me, we were just sitting there enjoying it, and they're going, "Oh my God, stop! What are they doing?" And they turn around like, "You guys see this?" Like, yo, dude, if I don't fuck you up, they're definitely gonna fuck you up. And like,
oh my God, did you see us? You mean on the gigantic 30-foot screen?
Yeah,
Did
it's
I
like,
see it?
yo,
yes, I fucking saw it.
What you doing, man? Come on, stop! And like, we all looked at it like, hey, man, maybe this kid's like got a developmental problem, and like that's why he's acting out. Like, it was the way he's acting. Maybe that's it. I wanted to ask him because if he verified saying that's not true at all, the man being a fucking body bag after that though, because I was pissed as fuck. Like, I paid for this ticket, bro. I will pay for your fucking funeral too, if it means finishing this film in peace. Like, what are you doing?
I don't think the financial on the scales, I don't think that financially weighs out to be the same, but it's okay.
It's about purpose. His death gives my life purpose, if it means finishing a film of Halloween in peace. We saw the fucking 2018 film in Hartford, a crowded ass city that has so many people of a wide range of races, ethnicities, people, and like
age
especially. It's a fucking wild card, and that wild card added to the experience of the first one. Did people say some stupid shit like, "Oh my God, this bitch, what are they doing?" Like, sure, whatever. But they're into the movie, you know. They're not degrading the film by talking through it. They're just shocked, just saying things that emotions are running through them. Fucking awesome experience.
Yeah.
This experience, put me in a boxing room with every fucking one of them. They'll drop like flies. So annoying.
Yeah.
I am aggressive about it, but let me watch Michael kill.
I came here to see
38
Halloween.
deaths on the film. There will be 38 deaths in the theater. So Halloween 2.
Definitely didn't have that problem with Halloween 2, a movie that came out before I was born.
Yeah.
I mean, we've touched on the whole the screenplay issues here. Like, I really like this movie still. I enjoy it. I throw it on. I generally use it as a double feature with the original.
Yeah.
Because it's just so similar in visual style.
Fitting.
There's some really cool shots in this movie, man. There's like some really cool shots. So like it's kind of like a riff on the first one where Michael fades in from the darkness, but they do that again in Dr. Mixter's office with the nurse, Goody Two Shoes nurse, where he fades into like the firelight. Yeah. And it's just super creepy.
The shot,
but the thing we didn't really touch on,
out when he reaches up is a great shot.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's for a reason.
It is kind of crazy watching it on a Blu-ray and all that stuff, and being able to tell that there's just like it's just squirting down above his eyes. But
I
you know,
don't
it is
know
what
why
it is.
you
They were
wouldn't
good.
go
Oh
in.
God, it's too bad, man. It's too bad that they just didn't gouge out Dick Warlock's eyes for real, man.
I don't
Call
know
yourself a
why.
stunt man.
I don't know. It's not a long scene. I would have
Yeah.
had people go in there be like, dude, just fucking blacken the eyes, just darken them.
Yeah, I probably would have said that would have been a good idea, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't notice it when I was watching it on DVD as a kid.
Yeah,
That's just
me
the
either.
advent of higher definition. But
Curse and a
the
blessing.
thing
as
that I
always.
did want to talk about, the thing I did want to talk about because it touches on, we just touched on how like Michael's coming in from the darkness and stuff. Michael, I used to really love Dick Warlock's Michael. I really don't like his Michael.
We've talked about this a lot off camera, and I will agree to a huge agree. The final scene with him and Lori, he sucks. Like, the man is so slow, where it's like, well, he's preying on her. No, dude, like, he's not preying on her. He's got fucking, like, a disability with his legs because he can't lift them. Like, there's no reason he should go this slow.
It's so much different. Like, you know, oh, Michael Myers always walked slow. Yeah, but like, if you really watch like the previous movie, oh, he's got 6 slugs in him. He's slowing down because of blood loss. Yeah, okay.
He's not that
Okay.
slow in shit like 4.
No, he's not.
4 and 5.
And 5 and 6 or 7 or 8. He's never that slow. This is the slowest he's ever been. And it is very distracting how slow he is.
I don't think it's so
And-
bad in some of the kills, but the final scene, which is the scene you will remember the most, he is horrible in.
Him chasing Lori through the hospital is bad.
Yes.
Like, it's just, he's too slow. And I used to think it was really cool. It was like this robotic or like malevolent energy to him that like it's even more scary because it's like he's walking this slow and he still catches up to you, but it's like, that's just stupid. Like, he's just walking very slow. And for some people it works. It does not work for me. I think it's very it's not scary.
Yeah.
I don't find him intimidating.
I think it's
I
boring.
don't find him scary.
You feel
Yeah,
like
that's-
she's gonna easily get loose because he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
There's no intimidation to it.
There's certain things that Dick Warlock does that I do like.
I like his mannerisms.
especially in the kills. Yeah, like I think in the kills he's really good. I think some of the mannerisms he does are good. It's his walk that's the big problem. And obviously Michael does a lot of walking.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the one thing. Like, I have really soured on Dick Warlock's Michael, and that's sad. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I saw somebody make a post talking about like switching final girls in films. Like, oh, what if Cindy had to deal with Freddy, or no, Cindy had to deal with Michael Myers, and like Nancy had to deal with like Ghostface, and Lori had to deal with like fucking Freddy and shit. And I'm like, well, this would be stupid.
Lori would die.
Lori would die. Ghostface would be fucking destroyed. Like, he would die in like a mousetrap fucking type thing that Nancy creates in like an immediate second.
Yeah.
People talk about like, oh, like, what about Tommy Jarvis and Jason? What would he do? And somebody
Sydney
said some shit.
Sydney versus Michael would be interesting. Just because as a final girl, she's strong in my opinion. She's a real fighter. I think that would be interesting. But like, no one wins over Michael. He just comes back, man. Like any other slasher villain, he just keeps coming back.
But someone brought in like
Whoever
Tommy
wins.
Jarvis and
No one
Jason,
ever wins.
and someone's like, yeah, what if it was like Jason? And then someone goes like, well, Michael Myers is just like a faster, stronger Jason. And I was like, you definitely don't watch the movies, because
Jason
always
runs.
even disregarding teleportation after 6, like, he's way faster.
Oh yeah, he fucking runs. He does.
Yeah.
He actually runs. Everyone made such a big deal after the Friday the 13th remake came out. You're like, Jason runs now. He's always fucking run, guys.
Also,
It's not new.
Jason is definitely stronger. Even original Jason.
Dude, he bent someone over on himself. He
That
broke
is
him in
6, to
half.
be fair, though. That's zombie
Yeah, I know,
Jason.
but
But
still.
even like part 4, Jason crushes fucking heads and destroys shit in a heartbeat.
Part 3 crushes someone's head so hard their
Yeah.
eyeball flies out.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, like he's fucking strong, guys.
Jason is not parallel to Michael Myers. Like,
Michael is strong.
yeah,
but
I mean,
not like
he's
that.
crushed heads too. Like he fucking breaks
crushes
in
heads.
Brady's head.
Yeah, he crushes heads too, but he also he shoved a shotgun through someone's body, so that's pretty
The
strong.
girl from 4.
Yeah, so that's pretty strong.
Yeah. He's definitely strong.
He does some more. Yeah, he's a strong boy.
Like he's definitely like. You put him in a room
So
with like.
some of the shit that he does in Halloween Kills is pretty fucking like he's really strong.
You put
dude.
him in a room with like, well, Halloween Kills Michael is just fucking different. He's built different.
He is built fucking different, dude.
Like
He's
equating
stacked.
him to, you'd have to do like Zombie Jason. Halloween Kills Michael, I'd say is stronger than Part 3 or Part 4 Jason.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Part 4, I'd say Part 3 for sure.
Yeah, he just does so many things in Halloween Kills that are just like
Yeah.
that is.
But like,
Wow.
Part 6 is a fucking legitimate zombie who.
Twisting someone's head all the way around.
The best thing, it's the first death. He goes, I would like to punch you in the heart. Oh, I took it? Like, I took your heart? Okay.
He
Nice
pulls out
hole,
like
loser. So fucking
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, you put Michael Myers in a room with like Freddy or Scream or Ghostface, those bitches are fucked.
yeah,
they're
because
fucked.
Freddy's in the real world and Freddy's fucked.
Yeah, Freddy's fucked. Nice knives,
Yeah.
dumbass. You're fucked.
It's like it's like, oh, Ghostface. Which Ghostface?
Any of them, they're fucked.
They're honestly all incompetent. So
They are. They're all super dumb.
at the
Like,
end of the day, they're clumsy. And honestly, I like that.
yeah, it's fine. It works for the films, but like,
They
you
feel
can't
like real
compare
people.
supernatural evil versus like dumbass evil. Like, it's not comparable.
Your garden variety psychopath versus literally pure evil
Yeah.
incarnate on 2 legs. Yeah, it doesn't.
You
equate.
wouldn't put like, hey, Matthew Lillard in Scream versus one of the fucking demons from the Necronomicon. I wonder how that's gonna pan out.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I've always thought Michael is always methodical, a lot slower than a lot of the other killers, which works for him. He has to be. Jason doesn't have to
Yeah.
be slow in imposing. He teleports and fucking just yeets his opponents, but Michael, there's like a kind of finesse he does when he does killings usually.
Of all the characters that are like corporeal killers and not Freddy,
Yeah.
it's just really funny, just like how just Jason teleports.
Yeah.
He's a zombie or whatever at this point. Of all of the corporeal villains that should be able to teleport, I think it should be Michael.
Yeah.
He's like
we're gonna
and
get
the
back on.
reason why Jason teleports is nothing to do with the creatives. It is definitely an accident.
Yeah.
It's not a deliberate choice.
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Well, yeah, I'd say part 8's on an
It's not
accident.
something
Part
that's
8 is
ever
no accident.
acknowledged.
Part 7, he
Yeah,
doesn't really teleport much. He just shows up
No.
out of nowhere. It's not like he's one
Yeah.
place and then somewhere else radically. But part
Whereas
6,
he's definitely an 8.
part 6, they allude to like when you don't look, he's just fucking gone. And then he's
Yeah.
there he is. But part 8, it's like this bitch is just teleporting.
Yeah, like in
He's
6,
Star Trek
when
beaming in different areas.
yeah, it's like when in part 6 he's like, I'm fast as fuck, boy, and he just
Yeah.
runs.
Ski. Like, you know, he tails it.
The exact polar opposite of Michael Myers in Halloween too.
He's like country boy. He fucking kicks his boots together and fucking flies. Shit.
It's like he taps his beat like a there's no place like home, but it's like there's no place like my fucking truck.
Yeah.
That was really stupid. Yeah, I'm just gonna fucking hang myself now.
He fucking takes a big giant dive into a barrel of hay. Shoot. Ain't nothing like a country boy. Those are his first words on film.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But yeah, back to the one we're supposed to talk about, Michael, and Halloween 2. We've gone through everything. Like we've gone through this film a lot.
Yeah.
We've talked about things we like and dislike. Fun film, like we said. It's not as great as everyone remembers it being. It just really isn't if you give it another rewatch. But the film is built on its testosterone, its fun factor, and like with it being a direct sequel, following directly after events, there's a lot of fun to be had with it. If you had to give it a score, what
Yeah, I
would you
agree.
give it?
On Letterboxd, I gave it like 3 stars. So I probably around like 6.5.
I'd give it a 7. I have a lot of fun. I take it for what it is. Someday I might even say 7.5. I have a good time with it.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
It used to be hype.
There's aspects about it that I just find really irritating, and especially like as time has passed and like as I've learned more about movies and plot structure and all this stuff and screenwriting and stuff, like watching them try to tell this story, it feels like people who've never really like told a story efficiently before, which is bullshit because it's John Carpenter still wrote this movie.
Yeah.
But you can tell he didn't want to make this movie. The only reason he did it is because he had a contractual obligation to do it. He didn't want a sequel. He never wanted a sequel to Halloween. He was involved in 3 of these movies, almost 4 of them. And he left because they just wanted to do another Halloween movie when he wanted to do something different. And he's like, I'm not doing the same movie for a fucking 3rd time. Peace. I'm selling my stake in the franchise.
Halloween 2 is the film that you as a teenager will say, this shit is awesome. Believe that for years and go, wait a minute. After I've digested film, things are different now.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you look back at it and you're like, I'm appreciative to the fact that this created a franchise I love to this day, even though it's definite rough spots.
Yeah,
I love Halloween, and we wouldn't have the movies that we have without this movie. But it also doesn't change the fact that I think that from a writing perspective, they really dropped the ball here. And again, there's many reasons for that. This movie was mired in development issues at times, and producers want one thing, director wants one thing, writer wants one thing. None of them are agreeing. John Carpenter didn't want to make this movie to begin with, so his script is not nearly as good as it could have been. It's got plenty of positives, like the visuals, the cinematography is great. Dean Cundey comes back and he's just not going to do a bad job. The score's great. I like a decent chunk of the cast. It is really disappointing we didn't even talk about it, but like Jamie Lee Curtis is barely in this fucking movie.
Yeah,
she's just in the bed for most of it.
It's barely.
There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Other than she has like a little teeny dream and wakes up and is completely emotionless after learning a earth-shattering problem. But yeah, she's barely in it, so like you're not even latched onto the character you've been established with. It's just it's a weird movie that I enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're really bitching about negatives here, and like I said, I don't think it's a narratively strong film, but I don't give a fuck about some films being narratively strong if I'm having a good time. This film's just trying to have a good time. At the end of the day, that's all I need. If it was trying to be narratively strong and telling you it's narratively strong, and it wasn't, it'd be different. If a film's trying to tell me how good its narrative is and it's not good, it'll be a problem for me. This film isn't, so at the end of the day, depending on how you look at films, I can understand really enjoying it and having a fun time, but I can also understand someone saying, well, it doesn't hold a candle to what it should be, and that's fair.
At the end of the day, I want quality in movies, no matter what the genre is, no matter what the subgenre is, but also at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and just deny that I didn't have a good time.
Yeah, I agree.
It's good enough for me for now.
And I think
doesn't mean it doesn't have a movie that doesn't have problems. It doesn't mean you can't criticize the movie, but if you had a good time, that's what I am looking forward to in these kinds of movies, just having a good time.
I agree. And I think that's a great way to end it. I had a good time, you had a good time. Hopefully people that watch this film decide how they feel about it and continue their watch through, and hopefully continue on to Halloween 3 like we will in the next episode. So we'll see you then. Check in with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Bye bye.